India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
Hello, I am Tanya and you are watching Courts Roundup. In this program, we bring you the latest legal news and details of court proceedings. Before we begin, here are the headlines. PIL moved in Supreme Court to direct Election Commission on Nota. Plea seeks fresh election if maximum votes polled in Nota. Calcutta High Court observes in NDPS case hearing of under trial in jail for 5 years. Court says right to bail is constitutionally mandated right. Calls for report on under trials. Punjab and Haryana High Court passes strictures against derogatory remarks made against females of scheduled caste. Says freedom of speech doesn't entitle a person to make a derogatory remark against any community or gender. Kerala High Court pulls up central for exclusion of transgenders in NCC. Says the world has progressed. You cannot remain in 19th century.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
The Supreme Court has been moved in a PIL to direct the Election Commission of India to use its plenary power under Article 324 to nullify the election result and hold fresh elections. If maximum votes have been polled in favour of Nota in a particular constituency and restrict the candidates who have participated in the invalidated election from contesting the fresh election.
A PIL has been filed in the Apex Court on Nota. The plea by Supreme Court lawyer and BJP leader Ashwini Upadhyay in the alternate praised that the court direct the centre to take opposite steps to invalidate the election result and hold fresh election if maximum votes have been polled in favour of Nota in a particular constituency and to restrict the contesting candidates. The plea contend that political party chose contesting candidates in a very undemocratic manner without consulting electors. That is why many times people in constituencies are totally discontented with candidates presented before them. The plea states that the centre should also implement the suggestions of the Venkatachalaya Commission and Law Commission of India on decriminalizing the politics and increasing political awareness, and introduce other provisions such as inner party transparency and election finance reform. The plea urged that the right to reject will check corruption, criminalization, casteism, communalism, linguism, religionism. It is avowed that the right to reject was first proposed by the Law Commission in its 170th report in 1999. It also suggested that contesting candidates should be declared elected only if they have obtained 50% plus one of the valid votes cast. Similarly, the Election Commission endorsed right to reject first in 2001 under James Lyndon, the then CEC, and then in 2004 under Mr. T.S. Krishnamurthy, the then CEC, in its proposed electoral reforms. It is pointed out that consequently, given that the right to vote and the right not to vote had been statutorily recognized, the Apex Court held that secrecy had to be maintained regardless of whether voters decide to cast or not cast their votes. The Apex Court also relied on international principles governing the right to secrecy as an integral part of voting and free election. Bureau Report.
Making an observation with respect to negotiable act of Delhi High Court has quashed the order of criminal proceedings against the former CEO of company in a check dishonor case. The court held that it is not enough to allege that just because the accused was a CEO, he is liable to be prosecuted.
The Delhi High Court has passed an order quashing criminal proceedings against the former CEO of a company in a check dishonor case, holding that as no specific allegations or averments against the former CEO regarding her alleged role either in the transaction or in the conduct of business of the company were made out. The complaint against her was liable to be quashed in a check dishonor case. The single-judge bench of Justice Jyoti Singh said that it was settled law that the mere designation of an officer in a company was not enough to make the officer vicariously liable in a case under Section 138 of Negotiable Instrument Act, NIA. The bench also placed reliance on the fact that the petitioner in question had already resigned from the company before the check in question was even issued, and that it was not alleged anywhere that even after resigning from the company, the petitioner had continued to be associated with it in some form, or was occupying any such position which made her responsible for the conduct of its business or for issuing instruction for the encashment of the check. In the absence of all the above, the court observed that vicariously liability had been imputed to the petitioner solely on account of her being the CEO of the company, and that hence the complaint against her was liable to be quashed. The brief facts of the present case were that a complaint was filed by Aryan Infratech Private Limited against one Mercedes Ringing Bell Private Limited and 5 other accused persons including the petitioners under Section 138, 141, 142 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. It was alleged in the complaint that in discharge of legal liability, Ringing Bells had issued a cheque bearing of amount of 2 crore rupees signed by another accused with the consent and knowledge of the other co-accused including the petitioner. The cheque was dishonor on the presentation, and despite a legal notice of demand, the accused person had failed to remit the alleged outstanding amount. Bureau Report.
During a hearing on Delhi riots, the Delhi High Court has issued notice to Delhi government to file a counter affidavit within 4 weeks. On the plea seeking interim and full compensation for victims, petitioners have claimed that not only the system failed to protect their lives and properties during the communal violence, but also after that the respondent authorities kept on dragging their feet and perpetuated the helplessness and distress among the victims.
Delhi High Court has issued notice in a plea seeking interim and full compensation for the victims of the riot that broke out in the Northeast District of Delhi. While issuing notice, the single bench of Justice Naveen Chawla has also directed the Delhi government to file a counter affidavit within 4 weeks. Filed by Mohammad Shahbaz and other victims of the riot, the petitions seek compensation for those who came under the attack from the mobs with their house burnt and having lost everything. It is argued that these victims immediately require interim and full compensation, but the amount specified by the Delhi government in its compensation scheme is inadequate to provide relief. The petitioners have argued that they had no control over the circumstances they were suddenly subjected to, which was a result of the complete breakdown of the rule of law. It is further submitted by the petitioners that the breaking out of the riot and then the continuous denial of the compensation shows the hostile attitude of the system toward the victims of communal violence and massacres. Not only the system failed to protect their lives and properties during the communal violence, but also after that, the respondent authorities kept on dragging their feet and perpetuated the helplessness and distress among the victims, the petitioners have claimed. Therefore, the petitioners seek a compensation policy which they takes into account the mental, emotional, physical and other distress that they have to go through and are still going through. The petitioners have also criticized the compensation policy of the Delhi government for the reason of its sheer inadequacy to provide relief to the victims. The court will next take up this matter on 15th February. The petitioners in this case are being represented by Advocate Kanwalpreet Kaur. Bureau Report.
Calcutta High Court has given an important observation while hearing a case in NDPS Act. It said that right of bail to an under trial is constitutionally mandated and can't be denied. The court was hearing the bail application of an under trial under the NDPS Act who had been in jail for over 5 years during the pendency of his trial.
Right of bail to an under trial flows from Article 21 of the Constitution of India, which frowns upon unnecessary and prolonged detention pending judicial adjudication of guilt, observed the Calcutta High Court. The court said the Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act, or NDPS 1985, have to be read in light with the right to personal liberty envisaged under Article 21 of the Constitution. The court held, we are conscious of the statutory provisions finding place in Section 37 of the Act, prescribing the conditions which have to be satisfied before a person accused of an offence under the Act can be released. We have felt that deprivation of personal liberty without ensuring speedy trial would also not be in consonance with a right guaranteed by Article 21. Division Bench of Justices Suvra Ghosh and Joy Malya Bakshi was hearing the bail application of an under trial under the NDPS Act who had been incarcerated over 5 years during the pendency of his trial. The court said, under trial detention in India is a chronic malady in the administration of criminal justice. 25th edition of the Prison Statistics in India as per NCRB report 2019 shows that 69.5% of prisoners in Indian jail are under trials. Saddened by the chronic malady of under trial detention in India, the bench called for reports on detention under the NDPS Act, whereby the accused have been in jail for 5 years or more. The matter will be taken up on January 15, 2020. During the hearing, the question which arose for the court's consideration was whether the restrictions imposed by Section 37 of the NDPS Act are overridden by operations of the directions given by the Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee versus Union of India. The bench also referred to the Supreme Court's latest verdict on the right to personal liberty in Arnab Goswami case, wherein it was held that the high courts and the district judiciaries are required to enforce the principle of bail and not jail in practice and not leave the court of last resort to intervene at all times. The bench also clarified that the present case is not one where the accused had caused any delay. Bureau Report.
Punjab and Haryana High Court has made a relevant observation on freedom of speech. It has passed strictures against passing derogatory remarks against person, irrespective of gender or community. In this particular case, it was alleged that objectionable comments were made against females belonging to scheduled caste. The court dismissed the bail of the accused.
While dismissing a petition for grant of regular bail, the Punjab and Haryana High Court Bench of Justice Alka Sareen made an important observation. It said, freedom of speech does not entitle a person to make derogatory remarks or post against any community or gender. The bail was asked for under Section 153A, 295A and 505 of the Indian Penal Code and Section 31V of the Scheduled Caste and the Scheduled Tribes Act. An FIR was lodged on the complaint made by one Savita Kajal and Kuldeep Bhukkal, wherein it was alleged that Savita Kajal had uploaded a post of Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar on her Facebook ID, and one Vijendra Sarsawa, the petitioner, made insulting and objectionable comments on the post to create disharmony in the society. It was further alleged that the petitioner used filthy language and make objectionable comments against females belonging to scheduled caste. It was also alleged that the insulting comment have been made by petitioner against Muslim women. Earlier, the counsel for the petitioner had submitted before the court that the complainant is a chronic litigant and it is in the habit of filing false frivolous complaint with the ulterior motive to extort money from innocent person. It was further submitted that even pursual of messages which the petitioner allegedly texted on Facebook were in fact messages received by him and forwarded without any motive,
much less to hurt the feeling of the complainant of the other citizen of the country. Further, the court noted the petitioner, along with the petition, appended as annexure just one of the posts, whereas number of posts as made by the petitioner have been attached with the status report. In view of the above, the court did not find it to fit to extend the benefit of regular bail to the petitioner. The petitioner bail application was hence dismissed. Report.
A plea to set up a medical wing dedicated to mental health care either in Trichy Central Prison or Madurai Central Prison recently prompted the Madras High Court to voice concern over the prioritization of mental health in India. Noting the negligible budget allocation of mental health, the low ratio of psychiatrists and statistics indicating that 1 in 7 people suffer from mental illness in India, the bench of Justices N. Kirubakaran and B. Pugalindi pleaded various ministries to respond on whether there is a need to increase the mental health infrastructure in the country. It is shocking to note that India is the most depressed country in the world, the court observed on Friday, adding that the prevalence of mental illness is said to have doubled in the past 10 years. The bench further took note that India's mental health care budget in 2018 was stated to be around 500 million rupees, which was reduced to 400 million rupees the following year. Media reports indicated that only 50 million rupees was actually spent on mental health, it was observed. The Kerala High Court has made it clear that any investigation or arrest under the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956 has to be conducted only by a special police officer authorized in that behalf. It has been held that there is no provision in the Act that empowers such special officer to authorize the investigation of the case to be conducted by any other police officer. The observation is made by bench of Justice M.R. Anitha in an application for quashing of FIR filed by lodge owner, who was booked under the Act. As per the facts of the case, Circle Inspector of Police conducted a search in the lodge run by the petitioner and found that accused number 2 to 7 were inside the lounge rooms, engaged in prostitution for money. The accused were arrested and a case was registered. Thereafter, Circle Inspector Pandikar conducted the investigation, questioned the witnesses and filed charge under the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. According to the petitioner, under the provision of the Act, arrest and investigation has to be conducted by special police officer as provided under Section 2I and 13 of the Act. Section 13 states, there shall be for such area to be specified by the state government in this behalf a special police officer appointed by or on behalf of that government for dealing with offences under this Act in that area. In this case, he pointed out, the investigation was conducted by Circle Inspector Pandikar, whereas the place of occurrence of the alleged incident was within the jurisdiction of Perintala Manna Police Station. It was also his contention that there is no provision under the Act to empower the special police officer to authorize investigation of the case to be conducted by any other officer. The Kerala High Court was hearing Hina Hanifa versus Union of India. The petition challenges the legislation for effectively allowing only males or females to enroll as cadets with National Cadet Corps. The world has progressed. You cannot remain in the 19th century, remarked Justice Devan Ramachandran of the Kerala High Court while hearing a trans women's petition challenging Section 6 of the National Cadet Corps Act 1948. The Standing Counsel for the Central Government, Daya Sindhu Srihari, who appeared for the NCC, insisted that refusing enrollment to the petitioner under the NCC Act was not discrimination and sought additional time to place its counter-affidavit on the record. Certainly there are 3 genders, male, female and transgender, Justice Ramachandran said. In this case, the lady, the petitioner herein, has decided to assign to herself her gender as a woman and she has gone through surgery also. Nothing stops you from admitting her even under the NCC Act as a woman, the court emphatically stated. The Chhattisgarh High Court has observed that Section 15 of the Limitation Act 1963 has no application in criminal proceedings. Section 15 provides for exclusion of time spent in proceedings bona fide in a court which lacked jurisdiction. The issue in this case was whether in a criminal proceeding, Section 15(1) of the Limitation Act 1963 would be applicable. In this case, the dismissal of complainant's application filed for condonation of delay read with Section 15 of the Limitation Act 1963 was under challenge. Justice Sanjay K. Agrawal observed that applicability of Section 15(1) of the Limitation Act 1963 is confined to suit and appeal for revision. It cannot be made applicable to criminal proceeding like revision. However, the court noted that Section 471 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 provides that in computing the period of limitation, the time during which any person has been prosecuting with due diligence another prosecution, whether in a court of first instance or in a court appeal or revision, against the offender shall be excluded. Explaining the scope of Section 14 of the Limitation Act, the court observed, the principle of Section 14 of the Limitation Act 1963 is the protection against the bar of limitation of a person honestly doing his best to get his case tried on the merits, but failing through the court being unable to give him such a trial. Section 14 provides for exclusion of time spent in proceedings bona fide in a court which lacked jurisdiction. The court therefore held that petitioners have failed to demonstrate any sufficient reason for delay of 2 years in questioning the order of discharge, and thus the revisional court is absolutely justified in dismissing the revision petition. Now that's all for Courts Roundup today. Keep watching APN.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.